It happened on a night so cold the wind cut like blades, the kind of night no one wanted to be outside, not even for a minute. But destiny doesn't ask for perfect weather before it changes a life. Armand Hale, the billionaire lawyer whose name every courtroom respected, whose suits were stitched in countries most people couldn't point to, was driving home after winning a case that would be on headlines by morning. But victory felt strangely empty to him that night. His car slowed near the old city train station. He didn't know why he glanced out the window, didn't know why his chest tightened when he saw a figure curled on the bench, shivering so violently it looked like she was fighting for breath. He told his driver to stop, something he had never done before at a place like that, at a time like that, and when he stepped out, the cold slapped him, but he barely felt it, because he was staring at her, a woman in a thin coat, hair damp from the frost, lips blue, eyes half closed like she was fading out of this world. She tried to sit up when he approached, tried to straighten herself like she didn't want anyone to pity her, and that strength in her, even while freezing, hit him harder than any courtroom blow. He asked her name, and her voice trembled as she whispered, "I'm Dr. Zara Iqbal. The train was delayed. I was trying to get to the hospital. Night shift." A doctor, a woman who spent nights saving other people, now sitting alone in the cold like no one in the world cared about saving her. Armand didn't think twice. He lifted his coat and wrapped it around her shoulders, and she flinched at the warmth, like her body had forgotten what it felt like. He carried her to the car, ignoring the stares of late commuters, ignoring everything except the weak rise and fall of her breath. When she finally leaned her head back, eyes fluttering, he knew he couldn't just drop her somewhere and forget her. Something about her felt like a story he was meant to read, not walk away from. He took her to a private clinic, stayed outside the room even when they told him to go home, and when she came out hours later wearing hospital scrubs and borrowed slippers, her eyes widened to see him still there, like she didn't believe anyone would wait for her. She tried to thank him and leave, but he asked, softly, not like the powerful man he was, if he could drop her to her hospital. She agreed only because she was too tired to argue, but on the drive she kept stealing glances at him, wondering why a billionaire lawyer would care about a stranger shivering at a train station. He didn't tell her that something in her eyes had shaken him more than any case he ever fought, that the moment he saw her he felt a kind of fear of losing her without even knowing her. Days turned into weeks, and he kept finding excuses to see her. Coffee deliveries at her night shift, late evening rides home, quiet conversations in hospital corridors where she told him about her patients and he told him about the cases that kept him awake. People began whispering about them, how a billionaire and a doctor kept crossing paths as if fate itself was arranging the meetings. He tried to deny it at first, telling himself she was just someone he helped, someone he admired, someone who lived far outside the glimmering circles of his world. But heart doesn't negotiate with logic, and his heart had already chosen her on that freezing night. When Zara finally asked him why he kept showing up, he said the truth, simple, sharp, and impossible to ignore. "Because the night I found you on that bench, something in me woke up, and I haven't been able to sleep since." She looked at him with those wide, honest eyes, and told him she wasn't rich, wasn't glamorous, wasn't someone who belonged beside a man like him. But he shook his head and said he didn't want someone who belonged to his world. He wanted someone who made his world mean something. Their story spread long before they realized it had. Reporters caught pictures of him waiting outside the hospital for her at dawn. Social media found their winter night beginning and turned it into a legend, how a billionaire lawyer pulled a freezing doctor out of the cold and into the warmth of a love neither of them saw coming. People called it fate, called it a miracle, called it the story that melted the coldest night of the year. But for Armand and Zara, it wasn't history or headlines. It was the memory of a silent platform, a freezing wind, a man who stopped when he could have kept driving, and a doctor who didn't know that the night she sat alone shivering, she wasn't being forgotten, she was being found.